it's MK, and I am here with a bonus layout for our Kit Conspiracy kit using the 49 and Market Everywhere collection. So I have a couple scraps from some layouts that you guys haven't seen me make yet. Sorry about that. But I am just sharing with you guys what those scraps are. I'm not really sure which ones I'm going to be using. I think it's going to end up being these branding strips, but I'm not sure. We'll see what I can do. I also have one of those sticky frames, adhesive frames that I didn't know was adhesive. And then I picked out some die cuts from the ephemera pack, as well as this scrap piece that has been left over from, I think, 2 layouts now. So super excited to get that used up. I have 2 4x6 photos of my husband and I traveling in his service truck. I'm going to miss it because now he is an office manager. So he manages the guys in the service trucks now. So it's quite the change. I have these beautiful papers. I'm going to use the one with the postage stamps on it as my background. And then I've got this orange paper that's going to just be part of the layout. And then I'm debating using those branding strips. So the first thing I'm going to do is start by ripping into this gorgeous orange paper. I forgot to cut the branding strip off because I was just super excited to make that first rip. I love ripping the paper and not measuring or anything. It actually makes the layout go by super fast. And excuse me, I've got a little frog in my throat this morning. It makes the layout go by fast, but it also adds a lot of creativity to the layout because of the fact that no 2 rips are the same. You can't ever rip the same thing unless you're using a tool to help you rip. So to define my rips a little bit more, I want to curl the edge up, and I use that with my distress tool. And I purposely get the tool to curl the papers upward so that way I can get that raised edge look. I don't want to necessarily scuff it up like I normally do with my distress tool. This one here, I'm just curling that edge up so that way I can see the fact that I have multiple layers on my ripped pieces. If I would have to just leave them flat, then it would be hard to define the fact that I had 2 different layers for the top and the bottom. So Kit Conspiracy is a series that Janet and I have been doing for, I have no idea, you guys. Time goes by so fast in life. I'm just letting you guys know that I even lose weeks having so much fun doing what I do. So I think this is our 4th or 5th time doing this series. The first series, it started out as we had a bunch of similar collections in our craft room, and so we created kits, but we didn't have enough papers to have one giant kit for the whole month. So we decided, hey, we're going to do these little micro kits and use them 1 week at a time. And then, hey, we used up a bunch of stuff that we've had sitting around in our craft room, and it felt really, really good. And so then the next time we had to see what we had, and we went with collections. We had a few collections, the Vicki Boutin color studies and all that stuff that we had very similar to each other. And so we built our kits off of those the next time. But the first time that we ever did it was definitely based off of items that we had in our stash, even though some of them weren't exactly the same. Like she had a similar green cardstock that I had, but they weren't by the same manufacturer. So that's where it all started, was to start using up some of the older stuff that we had in our stash. And then, of course, we, once we grew out of that, because now, the older stuff is gone. Actually, I don't even know how. I think the oldest collection that I have in my stash is 2019, so which isn't very old compared to what we had in our stash when we first started. So yeah, I definitely think that it helps a lot when we put these kits together. And like I said, they're just microscopic kits. Our goal is to only do 3 layouts a week with these kits. And we end up, because we get so inspired by using this and get on a roll, I should say, that we do end up making 6 to 7 layouts with these kits. And it's fun sharing that with you guys, because some of you guys end up having the same papers or the same color scheme. Now, you don't have to follow along with the exact same papers or anything like that. If you don't want to, you don't even have to follow along. We're just sharing ways to use your supplies, basically. And it's been so fun seeing how creative everybody else has gotten to play along. It's just been a blast, you guys. All right, so I did end up using the branding strips down at the bottom, and I scuffed up all of the edges. And then I took a couple of my scraps, as well as another branding strip or two. Actually, I tore one branding strip in half to use the word that was on the branding strip as my title. So that was fun. And then I just decorated my orange areas first before I moved on to the photos and the decorations around the photos, which are going to be, in the center section where my rip is open. So I'm taking my photos and I trim them down, I think to 3¼ by 4¼ or 3½ by 4½. I cannot remember. Or I've got one photo that's 3¼ and the other one's 3½. Who knows? I just trim them down smaller. That's what I like to do with my 4x6s. I don't necessarily like to print small. I do print small when the occasion calls for it, especially if I have like a series of photos and I want to get all of them on a layout or two. However, I don't normally print small. I definitely don't spend any time editing photos. That's just a time consumer that I choose not to do, especially with blurry photos. I love scrapbooking blurry photos of my kids because it shows that they were having a good time and, and the activeness of children. So, I scrapbook blurry, I scrapbook, terrible selfies like these ones because there's not a lot of room in a service truck. If you guys have ever been in one or seen one driving around, it's a work truck. I compare it to a police car. If you guys have ever seen or been around a police car, there is not a lot of room for passengers, except of course if you're in the back seat. That's terrible. But they've got a monitor that kind of swivels for them to use and look up things. They've got their bag of, they call it their go bag. So it's full of stuff. And my husband's is the exact same. The passenger seat is called a buddy seat. So it's not really a real seat. So you're not very comfortable sitting in it. I'm actually sitting on, the seat sits on top of his, what's it called? It's not a generator, but it's like an inverter. That supplies power to the back end of the truck because it's a service body truck. So it's got cabinets that have lighting and things like that in it. And so the buddy seat is actually put on top of that inverter, and it's just not very fun or pleasant, but it's where my husband lives for 16 hours out of his day. Well, lived, for 16 hours out of his day. And so he loves this truck. He absolutely loves it. In fact, he was pretty sad when he had to move out of it and then figure out what technician is going to move into it. So, that was the biggest decision in our house for about a month. But I do enjoy, going for rides with him in this truck because it's his home, it's his home away from home, and he's very proud of it. And so I love supporting that for him. And here in these photos, we're just going down to the gas station and filling it up because he doesn't like to do it first thing in the morning because he leaves so early in the morning. So he does it on a Sunday. He goes down to the gas station and fills up his truck. And he's also got a tank in the back. I'm not sure. It's that box behind me in my photo. It's his transfer tank. And so he has that just in case he's driving a lot more than he in tens and can't get access to a service station, right? So he's got that to fill up, and it takes a while to fill the truck up, as well as the service truck tank. So he's gone for a good hour, half hour, depending on how low the tanks are and how much he used the prior week. So it's just an hour I get to spend with him, and it's only a 2-seater, so no kids allowed. But sometimes he takes one of the other kids, or most of the time he goes by himself, to be honest. But it's super fun. It really is, to have, to be able to enjoy these times. And so every time that I hop into the truck, I make sure to take a selfie, just so that way he knows that I enjoyed these adventures with him, and sometimes we'll take the long way home, or sometimes we'll make an extra stop. My favorite one is when he pulls the truck into our coffee drive-through, and the coffee place is like, whoa. But it's awesome because it's the only drive-through that he can take the big truck in, and because it doesn't have an awning. And so it's all wide open, and we take the truck in, and then we get posted on Facebook quite a bit because it's a big truck going through a drive-through. All right, so that I just added, basically all the elements that I picked out here and there, creating little clusters in, areas. I just going ahead and, used best time as our title, adventures as our subtitle. I've just got lots of words going on that help me tell my story, and like I said, say yes to adventure, because, we don't get to do this anymore. He doesn't have his truck anymore. He's moved up in the company, and so it's great that I did take these photos and what little photos I do have of Big Truck, just so that way he can, know that I did enjoy that with him. So anyways, don't forget to check out Janet Fritz's channel. She is my cohort in Kit Conspiracy. Like I said, we started this about 4 or 5 series ago, which is probably only 2.5 years, maybe 2 years ago, but we do it twice a year. We do it once, I want to say in April, and then another one in November, which is this month. But we also do kind of a mini series in February, because sometimes we go a little crazy on a kit or a collection, and it's a bunch, and so we'll use it for an entire month. But I'm not sure what we're going to do this February, or next February, I should say. All right, enough. Let's say good night. Not good night, but have a great day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, truly appreciate it. And I will check you guys all later.